Welcome back to the PreVetted Podcast, where we spotlight extraordinary people and remarkable talent reshaping our world. Our guest today is Tifany Mazza. She's a digital marketing strategist and entrepreneur with more than a decade of experience growing brands online. She's the founder of Tykio, a Google-certified digital partner based in Silicon Valley, where she and her team craft data-driven campaigns for global clients such as Nestlé, Royal Caribbean, Lady Gaga's Haus Lab, and RedCoach. Her career spans multiple countries and industries, from managing e-commerce in Latin America to leading digital strategy for cruise lines across Europe and Asia, and even teaching over 200 professionals in Google Ads and Analytics. Beyond her work with clients, she's also the founder of Not to Die For, curated vegan marketplace that reflects personal commitment to ethical and cruelty-free living. Tifany brings a unique mix of creativity, analytics, and purpose-driven marketing. And today, we're going to dive into her career journey, her lessons from building Tykio, and the advice that she has for the next generation of marketers. Tifany, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Federico, and thank you for the presentation, for the introduction. I appreciate that.
Yes, I'm honored to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be here.
So tell us what first sparked your interest in digital marketing that led you to build a career in this field.
So I've always been involved in everything digital since I was very young because my father worked in digital. He was a software engineer. So I kind of grew up seeing all of that. And then all of the advertising area always interested me. I did study advertising. And then it was kind of natural for me to go to the digital area in advertising. It was the most natural thing for me to do. I grew up with a lot of technology and that kind of knowledge.
Right. So your father was also in the industry and you kind of follow his steps.
It's actually pretty different because he was more focused on engineering, but everything AI. When I was 13 years old, he started at an AI company, and this was 20 years ago. So you can imagine that AI back then was not a thing like it is today. So since I was very young, I kind of got that knowledge, and it was just natural for me to, within the advertising area, just go towards that direction. But it's pretty different from what he built because my focus is very advertising driven and very focused on marketing in general, not software engineering.
Right. I see. So looking back, what was a pivotal moment in your career before founding Tykio?
I'd say when I was the e-commerce manager for Tenagart Hostels, I'd say back then I was in a place in which I was like, I told my boss, who was the owner of the company as well, I told him like, either I will end up going to another company to grow because growth there was not a possibility, or I start my own company and you're my first client. So that was pretty much how Tykio started. And he was like, okay, I'm your first client. And from that is when I started growing the agency.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
So you work on multiple countries and markets. How has that shaped your perspective as a marketer?
So it's very different, and it's always very important to adapt to each market, not only in terms of creatives, but also in terms of targeting and seeing which media each audience is. Because it's not like people in Latin America, for example, don't use the same social media as in the US or some countries in Europe. It's very different. So you have to build a strategy based on geolocations as well. It's not a copy paste of the strategy because it won't work.
Right. So
at some point.
So adapting to different markets, different countries based on what's going on there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's just going local because not only communication with that's the main thing in terms of what you're communicating, understanding the context, but also which are their habits, their behaviors when it comes to their digital journey.
Right. For me, when I start traveling is when I realize all the quirks and habits of my culture, right? Things that I didn't think, I didn't realize that I had or was doing, or things that I'm used to after start traveling, right? So I have a funny anecdote about that. My sister-in-law, she's from Mexico, and she was saying, I don't understand how people can eat without a tortilla.
I didn't know that thing.
Because in her mind, everybody needs a tortilla, right? Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, but it happens whenever you travel or whenever you can expose yourself to other cultures, you realize how, you have some quirks that you didn't even know that you have those.
Right. And being able to identify those quirks or those habits to be able to run an effective campaign marketing becomes important.
Yeah, 100%.
So what motivated you to take the leap from working for agencies and brands to running your own company?
I've always been very entrepreneur. Like when I was 7 years old, I used to sell juice to the neighbors. And then when I was 11, I used to create soaps so that I would sell them at school. Like all of those kind of things. Like it's always been very kind of in me. So I feel like it was just how I am.
Interesting.
It was a decision that I had to think through very much. It's just how I feel more comfortable.
Right. How do you feel your experience running a company has been so far?
It's great. I actually like it. I really like it. It gives you freedom. You make the decisions, not always, because of course you have to follow a client's guidelines, but I do like seeing the results and helping the clients get the results and they go through the objectives that they are after, and helping in that. It's, very fulfilling. So, and always like different clients. That's something I enjoy, because if I were working for one client in particular, that would be a bit boring for me. Like I kind of need the change. So yeah, I like it. It's fun.
Interesting. Yeah. It comes with a lot of freedom, but also comes with a lot of responsibilities.
Yes, a lot. It does. But I'm always there to, to solve the problems that come up. So that's not a problem. I'm not the kind of person who needs a vacation, for example, and like be 100% disconnected. I'm always on the phone because I do like being kind of in control. I'm not a control freak, but kind of. So it's not something that annoys me or bothers me at all. Like having that responsibility and being for the team, especially when I'm needed.
Right. So how have your early roles like e-commerce management and digital marketing influenced how you lead today?
See. So I had a lot of great mentors throughout my career, and I'm very grateful of them. And I got to experience different kinds of leadership ways, different ways to lead. And that helped me a lot to develop how I lead nowadays. I feel like 10 years ago, I was a completely different person in terms of how I led projects, not only for my own project, but also whenever I had to work with a team. I think it changed a lot, and that's thanks to the different mentors that I had and different bosses that I had through my career.
Interesting. So what were the biggest challenges in the early days of starting Tykio, and how did you overcome them?
The greatest challenge. I think scaling, it's the hardest part. Like you get your first clients and that's great, but then scaling out and starting to delegate the work, I think that was the hardest thing to do. But I'm happy now that I do delegate a lot of the work. So that I'm very happy with that decision, but it's been a challenge, but that allowed me to grow more. So, and also focus mainly on strategy, leading the strategies as well, and not so much on execution. I think that was the main thing.
Right. Yeah, scaling is hard. I mean, there's a book called The E-Myth, The Entrepreneurial Myth, that talks about that if the company, I mean, I'm kind of paraphrasing, I'm probably butchering the book, but anyway, what they say is if you have, if everything in the company stops if you're not there, then you don't have a company, you have a job, right?
Yes.
So when things start to be done without you being there, then that's when the company, you have more of a company, right?
Yeah.
And then they talk more about the idea of building processes so you can delegate the task to the lowest person within the hierarchy of the company, right? By defining the decisions. By defining a process, the process means that you define the decisions, the business decisions within the process. So that way, a lower ranking person can execute based on that criteria that you define, right? It sounds easy, but it's hard, right? But it's this idea of being that the company should be able to operate independently.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, I feel like that was the hardest part thing to do, because you also want to make sure that all clients are satisfied and everything is doing well. So
And I think a question that we probably missed should have made earlier, but can you tell us about Tykio and what does Tykio do?
yeah, it's a Google partner agency, very focused on, it's a full stack digital marketing agency, but it's the main expertise is everything paid media, everything metrics, data science. We are very focused on results. So that's why most of our clients are e-commerce, but we do everything from web development, paid media, social media, you name it. And we're
Amazing.
based here in Silicon Valley, and we work fully remotely. People from the team are everywhere: Ohio, Miami, Argentina.
Shout out to Argentina.
Yay.
Great. So how do you balance the creative and analytical sides of marketing when building campaigns?
Yeah, that's a great question. So now I feel like everything is moving towards the creative. Of course, you need the data. Like data help us determine which is the best creative, of course. But then something that is happening lately is that a lot of people, me included, a lot of marketers focus way too much on data and instead of building the brand. So I feel like there's always been like this kind of fight between performance-driven marketers and branding-focused marketers. And so it's very important to have a mix of both. Like data helps a lot to improve creatives, but at the same time, I feel like we should focus more on everything that involves the creative in terms of analyzing the audience, the competitors, see which is our value proposition, and building the brand, like focusing on creating connections, building community, because at the end of the day, yes, data will still exist and we'll see analytics, but if there's not brand awareness, then performance won't work. Like something that I think is that the more you learn about performance marketing is the more you realize that branding is needed. It's crucial actually for any brand. Yeah, data helps a lot. But at the same time, like building the brand is very important as well. And data helps to build a brand. But I feel like the focus is shifting towards that direction now, like the mix of both.
Right. So you're saying that a lot of people focus a lot on data rather than impact.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, focusing only on sales, it's great. But at the same time, whenever with this, let's say we have campaigns that are 100% performance driven and yeah, they are generating sales. Whenever you create at the same time an awareness campaign or a PR campaign, anything branding related, then you get to see that the numbers in performance improve a lot. So, but the branding campaign might be only impressions or it's just you got a lot of reach, whatever. But then if you get to see the data, many people would say like, oh, the branding campaign didn't brought any sales, and they would pause that campaign or remove it or whatever. But they don't realize that thanks to that campaign is that performance numbers increased. And this is what we call the attribution model. Like many people focus on last click attribution, which is the people who click an ad, for example, and then go to the website and purchase, then that's a last click attribution. But if someone sees the ad, then searches for your brand online because of the ad that they saw, and they make a purchase, then the attribution will go to the last click. It won't go to the ad that they saw. So many people miss that and focus only on last attribution when the branding, thanks to the branding campaign, is that you got a lot of clicks on your, let's say, search campaign or your SEO. And thanks to that one is that you got the purchase. Yeah, I think that data is great, but you have to know how to read the data.
Right.
How to attribute the whichever goal you have, whether that is a purchase, a lead, or whatever.
Yeah, I found that interesting. I mean, for some of the campaigns that I ran, that sometimes we get leads and we don't know where they're coming from.
Yeah.
So we eventually end up with this black box marketing thing. We know that it came from our effort, but we don't know exactly which of the efforts, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes those, attributions or those links get lost in.
Yeah.
I call it lost in translation, but it's,
No, yeah, it's not perfect, the attribution models that we have, like in Google Analytics, for example. But the better you measure, the better. But at the same time, you have to know that there is an error margin, and you have to take into account the whole picture, the whole funnel, and all touch points, not only last click.
Right. Yeah. And then sometimes the issues that we had was that, well, one of the things that we've been discussing internally is this idea of sometimes we don't appreciate the marketing efforts enough, because on the sales side, we get the lead and we run with it, but then we don't necessarily realize, okay, this lead came from, we might not uniquely identify which campaign it came from, but we should know that it comes from the marketing team. But that disconnect makes the attribution of the effort. We don't give the attribution to the marketing team, right? Or we kind of forget about it, right? Because of this disconnect and this, 2-3 months delay on since you start a campaign until you get the result, right?
Yes.
And so I've been working towards being more actively thankful to the marketing team, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not easy to see to attribute the lead or the purchase or whichever metric you have to content on social media. And especially when it's something that you have to build over time, like when you build a brand, it's not like they will see it and they will purchase from you that the same day. It takes time.
Right. It takes time.
Yeah.
So what's one project or client success stories that you are especially proud of?
Okay, so whenever we launched on a new market and doing the whole strategy in terms of ads, in terms of like influencer marketing, like for a brand we launched it on another state. They are from Florida, and we launched it in Texas as well. They were going to that market. The idea is to grow there and generate awareness, of course. And what we did a lot of PR, influencer marketing, and we developed the whole strategy for paid ads, and the results were great. In the first month of launch, we had 3,000 sales on that market only. It was pretty successful, and it's thanks to like all of the strategies that we put behind. Only paid ads was not going to make a difference, but with the help of awareness campaigns, and we showed up on media, influencers were there, so that helped gain visibility and, of course, sales. At the end of the day, it's what the goal was.
Amazing. How do you maintain long-term client relationships in such a competitive industry?
Well, when you are like, I've had a client for like 6 years. I think that is the one that stayed with us the longest. And I feel like when you care and you really like, we do care, like we showed results and they completely trust us and they know that we are on top of every new update that comes up. So if you show the value and you prioritize their needs and also telling them what they need, because most clients don't know what they need, but that's why they hire you, right? For you to tell them what they need. Yeah, I feel like that is what helps. And actually it's less expensive to keep a client happy than to go for another client. So I much prefer this approach of keeping the clients happy, and that's why they stay for a long time.
Right. And it's a challenge related to what you said earlier, right? You talk about scaling and delegation was one of your challenges. And what I've seen happen, it happened to me, it happened to many other small agencies that I've seen, is when you want to scale, but then when you scale and hire more people, the quality of the work goes down, right? And, you have to work hard to keep the quality of the work as before. Right? As a solo founder, is not easier. The level of commitment that you have a founder is much higher than a new employee that you bring in. Finding the right person to hire, making sure that is maybe not as committed as a founder, because that's hard, but committed enough to make sure that the quality of the work is delivered, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's why that's the hardest part too.
Yes, and what I call organic growth, right, is we should be able to grow organically based on that capacity of scaling, right? Because what's the point of taking more work if you're going to let a client down, right?
Yeah. No, 100%. That's why it's important to find the right people and keep them happy as well. Not only the client, but also the team.
Yes, you have to keep the team happy, your
Yeah.
team happy, but also the client happy, right? Yeah. I've been working a lot on the concept of purpose to do that, to keep my team happy, because that becomes core of what we do, right? It's not just delivering for the client. We're also supporting the rest of the team. We have families that depend on us.
Yeah.
We have a whole ecosystem of vendors. So it has a much higher impact than usually we can think of, right? Or our people can see, right? So being able to, relay on that and share that builds that purpose, right?
Yeah, 100%. That's great. It's good to say that way.
Yes. So what skills or mindsets do you believe are most critical for someone starting a career in digital marketing today?
Today, I'd say 100% the ability to adapt, because the digital marketing world is changing every day. Like the algorithm changes or a new AI tool shows up, new editing tool, everything is changing every day. So yeah, the ability to adapt. Like I feel like there are a lot of marketers that are stick to the old ways and ways that are not working anymore. So keeping yourself updated, adapting yourself to the new ways, that is what will make the difference for sure.
So if you were starting over today, what would you do differently in your career path?
I don't know if I'd change a lot of things. Yeah, I can think of anything. And I feel like everything that I did kind of brought me here and I'm happy with that. So I don't know if I'd change anything career wise.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, we are what we are, where we are, because of the experiences we had,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
We are the sum of all the decisions that we've made throughout our career, our lives, right? So even, even the bad decisions, even the bad experiences, the setbacks, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have those experiences, then you don't build that experience to be who you are today, right?
Yes, exactly. And you get to learn a lot of things through the bad things as well.
Right. So, yeah, sometimes I'm thinking, well, I would rather avoid this pain, but then, that pain was part of
What's
my journey. Yeah. There's value in it. Yes. So what's one common career mistake you see young marketers are making, and how do you think that they should avoid it?
Yeah, I see a lot of people on LinkedIn and social media everywhere fighting against AI. Like, no, you can't use AI because people will lose their jobs. And it's like, you will lose your job if you don't use AI. Like, AI won't replace you. It might replace some people, not gonna lie, but you will be replaced by those who know how to handle, how to mostly. And like focus on strategy, focus on knowing how to ask the questions, but avoiding AI or just ignoring it, not adapting, that's the biggest mistake that I see right now.
Right. And there's this hype of AI as well, where people are saying, oh, AI is going to replace, put whatever, right? Because I've seen it's going to replace engineers, it's going to replace marketers, it's going to replace
It's going to change
creatives.
everything. Like, I don't deny that it is changing everything, but prohibiting AI or not allowing yourself to use AI because it's damaging or whatever, it will be more damaging for you than just by using it. You'll have more chances of getting a better job or being more successful if you use AI.
Yes, I think that this concept that is replacing humans is not necessarily true, although there are jobs that are going to be becoming obsolete. But I think that, for instance, for creatives, it doesn't replace a creative. It augments a creative. It enhances a creative, where you still need a human to know what they're doing in order to guide the AI, because the AI doesn't have that criteria yet, right? Maybe in the future, but not now. So we still need the designer. We still need the video editor, audio editor, whatever it is. We still need them, but AI allow us to automate a lot of the, low complexity work that we used to do, right?
Yeah.
Or automate processes that would take a lot of time before, right? But I don't think it's going to replace humans, right? or at least at the level that the hype is talking about.
Yeah, it will change things for sure, but change is not always bad. It can be good if you know how to adapt yourself.
Right. And then the other place where I've seen use of AI very effectively is as a creative psychic, where you can throw, give me a 30-second or 10-second video, right? And it gives you a lot of things to work, not necessarily to use entirely, maybe in some cases, but this idea of I can get from idea to prototype. I can do that very fast,
Yeah.
right? And I can show that to other people, and we can build on that idea because now it's more it's more tangible, right? It's there, right? So for that, I think is great, right? But then what do you do now that you have that, right? How do you go from there to execution, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So how do you recommend marketers keep their skills sharp in such a fast changing industry?
I would recommend joining any webinar that you see. Usually the platforms like Google, Reddit, or Meta, they do webinars every now and then for marketers to show the updates, share some insights. So all of those will keep you updated on what is new. Also to follow social media accounts that talk about these updates and that are sharing news every now and then about what's going on, what's new, which platform is new, what works, or social media accounts, or even people on LinkedIn kind of works doing that. So, and that is very helpful. I do follow a lot of people who create content that are mainly based on best practices or updates or news. I also create that kind of content as well every now and then on my account. And that's what I do to keep updated. Go to all of the webinars I can that I know will share updates, and also follow people from the field.
I think it's important once you know. I've seen, I feel this, and I found other people doing the same as you mentioned. Giving back to the community, sharing,
Yeah.
what we learned, right? I think it's a great way to give back, and it's amazing. It took me a while. I was this years old now, probably younger, but it took me a while to realize the value of a coach, and that people were intrinsically motivated to coach other people, right?
Sure.
You just need to go and ask. And people are sharing their knowledge through webinars. Some people are doing coaching, and some people give you advice, right? If you ask them.
Yes. And also creating content, giving back the knowledge and stuff. It's not only great because of the fact that you're giving back, but it also builds your brand. You're building your personal branding, and it's always good to have a good brand if you're going to work for other brands.
Right. So what advice would you give someone trying to transition from a marketing role in a company to running their own agency?
That's a good question. I feel like I focus on getting the first clients first, so that you're what I said before, building the personal brand, that helps a lot, because people will trust you when they get to see that you share knowledge, and they like what you share. You can build your portfolio with the results that you had, and build a personal brand mainly. It can be whether on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, whichever channel you feel your audience will be, or all of them even. But you can always start with your personal brand, and then deliver them to the agency whenever you build a team, or however you want to manage it.
Great. So what is the best piece of career advice you've ever received?
I'd say to do what I love, because it might be a bit of a cliche, but because if you just do what gives you money, then you might not be making money and be miserable. But at least if you do what you love, you might be in a situation in which you're not making money, but at least you will be happy doing what you love. So yeah, I think that was a good advice.
Amazing. Amazing. We're running out of time, but I truly appreciate, Tifany, you joining us today. Any last remarks you would like to share with our audience?
Honestly, I can't think of anything. I feel like we covered pretty much everything. Just feel free to talk with me. Every now and then I receive messages on LinkedIn like, hey, I'm in this situation. I know you build your agency, and I would like to know X or Y. And I do reply to those kind of messages. I actually made a friend of someone random who talked to me via LinkedIn. And yeah, just feel free to do that. I'm happy always to help.
Great. I truly appreciate Tifany to join us today. I think we learned a lot about what you're doing, and you inspire us to do a lot of things. Thank you, Tifany, for joining us.
Thank you, Federico. It's been a pleasure.